I'd like to talk to you today about a movie called Song of the Sea. Now, if the Lego Movie didn't come out last year and I was actually able to see this movie since it was only playing in, New York and LA, this would have been my favorite movie of last year. And not for the reason you would think. I really love marine life and marine mammals, so, any movie that focuses on them, I'm all for. Well, except for that one. But this movie doesn't really take place in the water that much, which I'm actually okay with because the movie is really, really good. The movie is about a boy and her sister who we find out is actually a Selkie, a human that can turn into a seal. But the boy named Ben doesn't really like her sister because he kind of blames her for the death of his mother. Already, that's some really serious tones for an animated movie. And that's not really that spoilery because it takes place within the first few minutes of the movie. They live on this island with their dad, which is a sort of lighthouse island, but after the girl Saoirse finds this coat that turns her into a Selkie, and she's found washed up on the shore in the middle of the night, their grandmother convinces their dad to move them to the city away from the island because it's too dangerous. But Ben doesn't want to move away from the island because he loves it, and plus his dog is there, and they can't take the dog with them because it's in the middle of the city and it's a grandma's house that can't really run around. It's a big old sheepdog, so it doesn't have any open space. So Ben actually sneaks out of grandma's house since he wants to go back to the island with Saoirse tagging along. And that's where the meat of the movie is. When I first watched this movie, I posted on Tumblr that it's sort of like an Irish Spirited Away, because there are a lot of different magical things that happen, but they're also kind of parallels of the real world. This is from director Tom Moore, who also did Secret of Kells, which is another really good movie, but this movie does everything better. It looks fantastic. I did really love the style of Secret of Kells, but sometimes it seemed a little inconsistent. This looks amazing, and it sounds better. The music in this is great. There's a lot of Irish folksy songs like Dulamon, which I actually remember hearing in Endless Ocean Blue World. The version of the song in that game is really good. And while I did like the story of Secret of Kells, I love the story of this a lot. This is probably one of the best animated stories I've ever seen. And the main characters are great. Ben is probably one of the best child voice-acted characters of all time. Kudos to the kid who played him. He did him really well. And Ben is a bit of a jerk at first, but he does grow on you. Trust me, he does. He's really a big jerk at first. And his sister Saoirse doesn't really talk because she's mostly mute, but the expressions the animators gave this character are top-notch. There's a lot of subtlety to her movements. But probably the best thing is the theme this story is trying to tell. It's about dealing with loss and not bottling up your emotions. Literally. And I mean quite literally, because they have jars of emotions in this movie. And there are some genuinely heart-wrenching and touching moments. There's really nothing bad I can say about this film. It's just really, really good. And it's probably one of my favorite 2D animated films ever. I even felt compelled to buy the Blu-ray, which actually kind of snowballed into this whole thing to where I actually bought a bunch of Blu-rays over the past few weeks. And this does have an excellent commentary by Tom Moore on it. Not much else for the special features though there's a sort of slideshow thing with a bunch of the concept art, which looks beautiful. But anyway, the movie is really good. If you haven't seen it yet, see it. I really loved it, and I hope you will too. So if you have seen it, tell me what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye. I'd like to give thanks to my patrons this month. Thank you so much for supporting me. It really helps out a lot. And if you'd like to support me, click the annotation for the Patreon link. And if you want more movie reviews, click the playlist. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.
Like soldiers in the middle of a campaign, growing hardened to discomfort